From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 10 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. The school day will be a little different for Billings students headed back to the classroom this year. Masks will be required for staff and students choosing to attend in-person classes, while an all-online curriculum will be offered for those who want their children to stay out of the school building. Billings School Superintendent Greg Upham revealed the preliminary plan to the Board of Trustees at a virtual meeting tonight. Q2's Mitch Legge joins us now with more. Mitch?
Billings parents will have the option to have their children's education be all online for the upcoming school year, or they could send them to the actual classroom, where administrators are doing everything they can to mitigate the risk of COVID-19 spread. Superintendent Greg Upham said that parents will have to make the decision before the start of the school year on whether to send their student to class or keep them online. This makes for a significantly smaller headache when staff are trying to schedule the upcoming classes. Now, based on a survey that the school district conducted last week, they estimated around 5,000 students may take the online-only option. This would allow for reduced enrollment in the physical classrooms, where students would be separated by cohorts, and each of those cohorts would have minimal interaction between each other. And if a student's household member tests positive for COVID-19, the district will refer to county health officials for guidance on contact tracing. Now, the superintendent did say that this plan is flexible and could be changed if new scientific information is learned about COVID-19. In the meantime, for those parents that choose to send their kids to school, he asked them to do their part and keep the disease out of the classroom. He asked the parents of those students to please keep their kids home if they do suspect them of being sick. In Billings, Mitch Legge, MTN News.
All right, thanks, Mitch. Administrators also asked parents to update their contact information with their school. This will make it easier for staff to contact a parent to pick up a student who may become sick. Tonight, 2 more people have lost their lives in the coronavirus outbreak at Canyon Creek Memory Care on Billings West End. The patients, a man and a woman, both in their 80s, died over the weekend at the facility. In the last 2 weeks, a total of 12 Canyon Creek residents have died due to complications of the virus. Today, the CEO and members of Kolsch Communities, the company that owns Canyon Creek, traveled to Billings from Washington State for what officials called a day focused on residents and employees. Q2 did ask the Kolsch employees for an interview seeking information to questions raised about their response or non-response to free statewide coronavirus testing, but we were denied an on-camera response. Yellowstone County Health Officer John Felton calls the 2 weekend deaths at Canyon Creek heartbreaking. Of the 17 COVID-related deaths in Yellowstone County, again, 12 of them have been Canyon Creek residents. Well, Yellowstone County makes up nearly half of the state's COVID-related deaths. That total has now reached 39. And tonight, there are more than 1,200 active cases across the state. 485 of those are here in Yellowstone County, while Bighorn County is at 84 active cases after seeing a county record of 12 new cases this afternoon. 5 of those Bighorn County patients are currently in the hospital. Well, things continue to change every day with this pandemic, and now we're seeing how different businesses and organizations are beginning to adapt to the curveballs being thrown their way. MTN's Andy Johnson has the story.
We've done a couple of stories about how this pandemic is forcing different businesses and restaurants to adapt. Well, one thing that's making it easier to adapt is technology.
It's really simple. Just put your camera over here, it scans it, you hit the website, and it brings it right up to our menus.
Montana Ale Works is one of several Bozeman restaurants utilizing technology to adapt during a pandemic.
We also made the decision to kind of use an older technology of QR codes. So the guests that were coming into our building that still probably might not feel comfortable touching paper or any of that stuff, they could take their phone and scan the QR code,
which pulls up the restaurant's entire menu. Even local churches are utilizing technology more.
As a church, the word is we've pivoted like lots of organizations, and we've tried to figure out how to bring the church to people.
Which is where technology comes in.
We did amp it up a bit to make it more dynamic and interesting and really change our complete focus of how we do the technology side, from focusing on providing an experience for people in the room to how do we translate that to people who are watching online.
And for these 2 organizations, this small use of technology has created a big difference.
These small steps mean a lot to not only our staff, but also to our guests. So whatever we can do and we can continue to adapt is the direction we're going to continue to head.
Technology allows us to leverage the good news of Jesus.
The online church services and QR codes are only a few ways we've seen how places are utilizing technology to adapt, but it's likely we'll see more as the pandemic progresses. Reporting in Bozeman, Annie Johnson, MTN News.
Thank you, Annie. This is the last week for the $600 bonus unemployment check from Congress. Even though it is set to expire on July 31st because of the payout schedule, this will be the final week. So what are the chances it gets extended, and how about that second stimulus check? Our Joe St. George is in Washington with why this week is so crucial.
If you are still out of work and relying on that $600 a week bonus unemployment check, the good news is that many Democrats want to extend it past this week. The bad news is that many Republicans are not on board with that yet, believing it's contributed to Americans not returning to work. Every day this week, though, there will be a new development regarding another relief package. That's because Congress is back from their July 4th recess and negotiations are moving quickly. This was the scene inside the Oval Office this morning.
History will write about this. We're working and negotiating with the Democrats.
Today, as you saw, GOP leaders met with President Trump at the White House. Tuesday, President Trump's top advisors go to Capitol Hill with Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin meeting with congressional leaders. Remember, in an interview with us last month, the president committed to a second stimulus check. Are you going to get them a second stimulus check?
Yeah, we are.
Don't expect anything from Congress until something is actually signed into law. That's because things are very political in the city right now. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
All right, turn to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire with high heat and possible thunderstorms. Unfortunately, that's the perfect recipe for some wildfires.
Yeah, we haven't had our wildfire season yet, and this might just very well be the beginning, because here's what's going to happen. As you can see, just take a look. There is our fire danger map. You'll notice here in Yellowstone County, we're at very high and high, and so we've got a big threat. Our grasslands are starting to dry out quite a bit in our part of the state, and so because of that, Weather Service says increasing fire risk is happening this week. Temperatures are going to be into the 90s throughout much of the week, maybe even 100 degrees on Wednesday. Humidity is going to be dropping down to 15 to 25%. Wednesday night, you'll see maybe some thunderstorms moving in right on into the weekend. And of course, with the thunderstorms, you get some dry lightning. And also, if you get a fire going, we're looking at some strong thunderstorm winds, and that can pose some problems as well. So fire is going to be a big risk the rest of this week, starting on Wednesday, right into Thursday, Friday, and possibly even into Saturday. We'll have more about this coming up in a few more minutes. Russ?
All right, thank you, Bob. An accident on I-94 East near mile marker 1 near Lockwood has turned fatal tonight. Details are pretty scarce right now, but these are some pictures from a Q2 reporter out there on the scene. The accident was called out around 8:50 tonight, and according to the Montana Highway Patrol website, it is a fatal accident. Tune into Montana this morning at 5 a.m. for the most up-to-date information. A former Billings legislator who now heads up the Montana Racehorse Owners Breeders Coalition insists he does not want to stand in the way of progress. Dan Fuchs questions the decision to demolish the 71-year-old grandstands at Metro Park when he says the public has not been told what the replacement plan is.
The goal is to just slow things down. We're not trying to get in the way of progress, and we know there's a master plan out there. We just want to know that what the timeline is, what the cost of a new grandstand is going to be, and all those unanswered questions.
Well, Fuchs and his horse racing group want the Yellowstone County Commission to explore the historical significance of the old grandstands, which he believes could qualify for possible grants to help pay for repair and maintenance costs. In the meantime, Fuchs says the COVID-19 pandemic has changed the economics related to Metro Park. Not a good time, he says, to move forward without a solid plan in place.
If the Metro is going to stay closed down, we're going to need to have a way to create revenue for the taxpayers. Otherwise, this is shut down. There's nothing here, and the Metro's closed. And how are they going to make any revenue here?
Both sides presented arguments today to Yellowstone County District Judge Rod Souza, who's considering a preliminary injunction to stop the demolition. Deputy County Attorney Gina Lervick argues the commission's decision to tear down the grandstands was made properly, and the horse race owners group has not proved irreparable harm. Judge Souza took the argument under advisement. A decision could come a little later this week. Well, the Highway Patrol calls it a bittersweet day as they celebrated the retirement of Montana Highway Patrol Trooper Wade Palmer. Trooper Palmer's taking a medical retirement after sustaining multiple gunshot wounds to the face, head, and neck while searching for a suspect back in March of 2019. His survival after such critical injuries has been called miraculous. Today, Palmer, accompanied by his wife and children, received a final send-off from friends and co-workers at patrol headquarters there in Helena. The patrol also presented Palmer with the Medal of Valor, its highest honor. Attorney General Tim Fox says Palmer's road to recovery has been a remarkable lesson in faith and perseverance for all Montanans.
We're just so thankful that so many Montanans and indeed Americans across the country have reached out to love and support Wade and his family, and that will never stop. We're always grateful for his service and his sacrifice and that of his family.
In his retirement, Trooper Palmer plans to continue to focus his energy on his rehabilitation and spending time with his family. Next month, Jonathan Birch, who pleaded guilty to shooting Palmer and 3 others that night, will be sentenced for his crimes. Still ahead on the MTN News at 10 here on Q2, President Trump vowing to put an end to nearly 2 months of protest in Portland. And not everyone is happy with how he's doing it. We'll have the latest on that. And in sports, with the GNAC conference stating that they've suspended the fall season, Scott is going to tell you what's next for the MSUB Yellow Jackets.